Most people avoid places like this. The jungle is dense and humid, with thick vines twisting around towering trees that blot out the sun. The air is heavy with the smell of earth and damp leaves, and every step feels like stepping deeper into an ancient, living world. It's a place where silence carries weight, broken only by distant calls of unseen creatures. For many, it's a place of fear, a place where danger lurks behind every shadow. But for Sophie, it's the very definition of adventure. She thrives on the unknown, drawn by a restless curiosity and a passion to capture moments no one else has dared to see. This jungle, wild and untamed, holds secrets that have remained hidden for centuries, and Sophie is determined to find them. Sophie moved cautiously through the thick undergrowth, her camera ready in hand. Every step was deliberate, careful not to disturb the delicate balance of this ancient forest. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. The distant calls of birds quieted, replaced by a heavy stillness that seemed to press in from all sides. Then, through a break in the trees, she saw it. A massive silverback gorilla. Its broad shoulders and powerful frame made it look like the true ruler of this jungle. The gorilla's dark eyes locked onto Sophie for a brief moment, filled with intelligence and an undeniable presence. Around him, a small troop of gorillas moved with quiet grace, protective and alert. Sophie held her breath, lowering her camera slowly to avoid startling them. But before she could fully relax, her eyes caught movement on the other side of the clearing. There, partially hidden by the shadows, was a sleek Bengal tiger. Its orange coat blended perfectly with the dappled sunlight filtering through the leaves. The tiger's gaze was fierce, focused not on Sophie, but on the gorilla. The tension between the two was palpable. Neither animal made a move, but the air was thick with challenge. Sophie could feel her heart pounding as she captured every second, knowing she was witnessing something incredibly rare. Two apex predators facing off in their battle for dominance. Then, a low, guttural growl broke the silence. The tiger wasn't backing down. Neither was the gorilla. Sophie realized she was in the middle of a silent war, a clash of titans that had been brewing long before she arrived. As Sophie watched the tense standoff between the gorilla and the tiger, she began to wonder how this strange conflict had come to be. Later, speaking with a local guide, she learned the painful truth behind what she had witnessed. The tiger, once a ruler of its own vast territory, had been forced into this jungle after poachers destroyed much of its original home. Displaced and desperate, it entered a new land already claimed by the gorillas. The silverback, known as Koba, had led his troop for years, protecting their home with fierce loyalty. Neither animal wanted to fight, but survival left them no choice. This wasn't just a random encounter. It was a battle over territory, food, and power. The jungle had become a battlefield, and the animals were forced into roles they never chose. Sophie realized that these creatures, powerful as they were also victims of a much bigger problem, humans pushing them into impossible situations. She felt a deep sadness, knowing that this war wasn't natural. It was a result of a world outside the jungle, where greed and destruction forced these kings to fight for their very existence. Sophie understood that her footage was not just about capturing wild beauty. It was a story of struggle, survival, and a fragile balance on the edge of collapse. Suddenly, the tense silence shattered as the tiger lunged forward with incredible speed, muscles rippling beneath its striped coat. The silverback gorilla responded instantly, letting out a thunderous roar that echoed through the trees. The clash was raw and fierce, two forces of nature colliding in a battle that seemed almost unstoppable. Sophie's heart pounded as she raised her camera, capturing every moment. The tiger's claws scraped the ground, swiping fiercely, while the gorilla used its immense strength to block and counterattack. Leaves and branches flew in every direction as the two titans grappled, their power shaking the very earth beneath them. It was more than just a fight. It was a brutal dance for survival, a test of dominance over the jungle itself. Neither animal wanted to give an inch, each driven by instinct and the need to protect what was theirs. As the battle raged on, Sophie realized she was witnessing a story far bigger than herself. A primal war that had raged for centuries, hidden from the world. The jungle wasn't just a backdrop. It was a living, breathing arena where only the strongest could claim victory. And just when it seemed like one might finally overpower the other, an unexpected sound cut through the chaos, something that would change everything. Just as the fierce battle reached its peak, distant sounds shattered the jungle's natural rhythm. Sharp, echoing gunshots. Sophie's breath caught in her throat. The tiger and the gorilla immediately broke apart, both animals stiffening with alertness and fear. Their raw fight for dominance was suddenly overshadowed by a far greater danger. From the shadows emerged poachers, armed and ruthless, moving silently but swiftly through the undergrowth. They weren't interested in the jungle's ancient struggle. Their mission was far darker: to capture, to kill, to take whatever they could for profit. The tiger, wounded and wary, retreated into the dense foliage, while the silverback gathered his troop, leading them away with urgency and caution. Sophie's heart pounded as she scrambled for cover, hiding behind a thick tree trunk, her camera still recording the terrifying intrusion. In that moment, it became painfully clear. The true enemy wasn't the animals fighting each other, but the humans invading their home. She realized she was witnessing more than a battle between beasts. She was witnessing the destruction of an entire ecosystem. The war of nature was overshadowed by the greed of mankind, and both kings were now fighting a battle they couldn't win alone. Sophie knew she had a choice: run and stay safe, or stay and help, tell the story the world desperately needed to hear. Sophie returned from the jungle with footage that stunned everyone who saw it. The world watched in awe as the rare and powerful moments between the tiger and the gorilla played out on screen. But more importantly, people saw the harsh reality of the jungle's fragile balance and the threat it faced. Her video sparked a wave of awareness and outrage. Conservation groups, governments, and wildlife lovers came together, pushing for stronger protections and stricter actions against poaching. Slowly, the jungle began to heal. A year later, Sophie returned to the same forest. This time, she found something almost impossible: a peaceful scene. The silverback gorilla and the tiger, once locked in deadly combat, were drinking quietly at opposite ends of a riverbank. The war had softened, replaced by a cautious truce. Sophie understood then that these creatures were not enemies by nature. They were survivors, forced into conflict by a world that had taken too much from them. Her footage wasn't just a story of violence, it was a story of resilience, hope, and the possibility of coexistence. As she packed up to leave, Sophie whispered to herself, "They were never enemies, just survivors of the same war." And with that, she knew her mission had only just begun.